The General and the Human Bride. The first thing Dr. Elara Quinn noticed when she opened her eyes was that the ceiling above her wasn't from Earth. It shimmered like liquid glass, colors moving and breathing as if alive. For a long moment she thought she was dreaming. Then she felt the heavy air press against her skin and smelled something strange: metal, ozone, and heat. The air wasn't quite right. Elara sat up fast, her head spun. Around her, the room glowed faintly with blue light. The walls pulsed softly like the heartbeat of something enormous. Her hands shook. She was not in her lab on the orbital station. She wasn't even sure she was in human space anymore. A voice spoke behind her, deep, calm, and unfamiliar. "You are awake, human consort." Elara froze. She turned slowly. Standing several feet away was a towering figure covered in dark armor that looked grown, not built. His skin was faintly silver, and his eyes glowed gold like twin suns. His face was sharp, stern, yet strange, alien but somehow familiar in expression. The air around him crackled with energy. "Who are you?" Elara whispered, her throat dry. "I am General Kar-Ren of the Varex Dominion," he said. His tone carried authority, the kind that could command fleets. "And you are my bonded mate." Elara blinked. The words made no sense. "What? No, there must be a mistake." "There is no mistake," Kar-Ren interrupted. "The Treaty of Solara was signed 2 cycles ago. The terms demanded union between the Dominion and your species. The war ends with our marriage." Alara's heart pounded. "Marriage? You mean I'm your wife?" "In your tongue, yes," the alien said. His glowing eyes softened slightly, but only for a second. "The treaty bond has been sealed. Your DNA and mine are now bound through the merging ritual." Alara's mind raced. The last thing she remembered was helping negotiate peace after years of brutal war between humanity and the Varex Dominion. She had been the chief xenobiologist, studying their language and biology. She remembered the treaty drafts, the political tension, and the blinding light. After that, nothing. She stood from the strange bed, her legs trembling. "This can't be real," she whispered. Kar-Ren stepped closer. He was huge, easily 7 feet tall, and every movement was controlled and graceful, like a predator watching prey, but choosing not to strike. "It is real, and now that you are here, the bond must be completed publicly before the Dominion High Command." Alara's thoughts twisted in panic. "Publicly? No, I want to go home." Kar-Ren's jaw tightened. "There is no war anymore. There is only alliance, and you are the key to keeping it alive." Hook intensifies. 5-minute suspense scene. Suddenly, the room shook. A deep boom echoed from somewhere above. The glowing walls dimmed to crimson. Kar-Ren turned sharply toward the door. "Attack," he growled. His armor shifted, wrapping tighter around him like a living creature. "What's happening?" Elara shouted, clutching the edge of the bed. "The Separatists," he said. "Not all Varex agreed to peace with your kind." He moved to the door, pressing his palm against it. The wall split open into a dark corridor filled with flickering lights and distant rumbling. He turned to her. "Stay behind me." Before she could answer, the door exploded inward. 3 alien soldiers stormed in, their armor jagged and red like molten glass. They shouted in a guttural language. Energy bolts flashed through the air. Karin moved like lightning. His blade, pure light and plasma, swept across the room. One soldier fell. Another fired, but Karin caught the bolt with his armored arm and hurled it back. Elara crouched behind the glowing bed, heart hammering. This was no dream. The room smelled of ozone and burning metal. The third soldier aimed at her. Human, the false bride must die. Karin roared, a sound so deep it shook the air. He lunged forward, knocking the enemy aside. Sparks exploded. The alien fell, armor split open. Elara stared at the chaos in shock. "They're trying to kill me," she whispered. Karin turned, breathing hard. "They will not succeed. You are under my protection." He extended a hand. "Come, we must leave this chamber before more arrive." She hesitated, then reached for him. His hand was warm, solid, and absolutely, against her own expectations, comforting. He pulled her close and led her through the corridor as alarms screamed in the distance. They reached a docking platform, an open space overlooking a sea of stars. Ships moved through the void like silver fish. He pressed his hand against a black, oval craft. It opened with a hiss. Inside. She hesitated. "Where are we going?" "To the War Council Hall. You must be presented before they question the treaty." She climbed in reluctantly. The ship's interior was alive, pulsing like a heart. When the door sealed, it felt like being inside something that breathed. Karin took the pilot's seat. The ship leapt into the stars, silent and swift. Elara stared at him. "General Karin, did you know this would happen? That I'd be taken like this?" He looked forward, eyes glowing faintly. "I knew the treaty required a bond. I did not know it would be you." "Then why me?" She turned slowly, her gaze unreadable. "Because your people trust you, and because I demanded someone strong enough to face me as an equal." Alara's heart skipped. There was no anger in his voice, only respect, maybe even admiration. But she was too overwhelmed to answer. Outside the viewport, a vast planet appeared, half shadow, half firelight. The capital world of the Varax Dominion. Elara whispered, "What happens now?" Karin's voice was low. "No, human consort, the real test begins. The galaxy watches, and our bond will decide if peace survives or burns." The ship descended toward the glowing world, and Elara's life as a scientist ended. From that moment on, she was something else, a human caught between two empires, bound to an alien general by a treaty written in war.
The General's Planet. The shuttle descended through clouds of silver mist, lightning flashing below. Elara pressed her hands against the window, staring at the alien world spread beneath her. It looked both beautiful and terrifying. Mountains glowed from rivers of molten light. Giant cities rose like black towers carved from crystal, connected by glowing sky bridges. Everything shimmered with energy and life. Karin sat beside her in silence. The air between them was thick with unspoken things. Elara finally said, "So this is your world?" He nodded. "Berexis Prime, home of the Dominion." "It's not what I expected," she whispered. "What did you expect?" "I don't know. Something cold, empty. But it's alive. Wild." She paused. "Like you." Karen's lips curved slightly, almost a smile, but he said nothing. Outside, the landing platform appeared, guarded by dozens of armored Varric soldiers. As the ship landed, a booming voice echoed through the comms. "General Karen, you are ordered to report to the council hall immediately. The human representative must be present." Karen looked at her. "Stay close to me. Do not speak unless spoken to." Elara frowned. "Why? I thought this was a peace ceremony." His eyes hardened. "Peace is fragile. Some still call you the enemy. If they see weakness, they will use it." The door opened with a hiss. Heat and light washed over her as they stepped out. The alien soldiers bowed slightly to Karen, but when their glowing eyes landed on Elara, they whispered among themselves. She caught words she didn't understand, sharp, harsh sounds. "They're not happy I'm here," she murmured. "They are soldiers. They obey orders, not hearts." The council hall was enormous. Its ceiling reached so high it vanished into mist. Floating symbols burned across the walls, telling stories in alien script. At the center sat the High Council, 7 figures cloaked in dark armor and bright light. As Karen and Elara approached, the air grew heavy with power. "General Karen, you return with the human," one of the counselors said, voice like thunder. Karen bowed his head. "The treaty has been honored. The bond is sealed." A ripple of murmurs filled the hall. The tallest counselor leaned forward, golden eyes glowing brighter. "You bring her here during unrest. The separatists attack our ships, and yet you expect us to trust this human?" Elara straightened, her fear mixed with anger. "I didn't ask for this bond, but I want peace as much as you do. Maybe more." The hall fell silent. Every glowing eye turned toward her. The same counselor sneered. "Bold words for a creature from a broken planet." Karen stepped forward, his voice cold. "She is under my protection. Speak of her like that again, and you insult the Dominion's honor." The counselor's eyes narrowed. "You care too much for her already." Karen didn't answer, but the silence said enough. Finally, another counselor spoke. "Very well. The bond stands, but the human must prove her loyalty. The alliance will be tested through the trial of unity. If she fails, the treaty collapses." Elara frowned. "Trial of what?" Karen turned slightly. "It is a tradition to show strength and trust between bonded partners." "What kind of trial?" He hesitated. "You will see." That night, Elara was given a chamber in Karen's fortress, a tall spire of living crystal overlooking a vast glowing desert. The walls moved faintly, alive with faint pulses of blue light. Outside, the alien sky shimmered with 3 moons. She stood on the balcony, trying to breathe, trying to believe this was real. "I was supposed to negotiate peace, not become the symbol of it." Behind her, Karen entered quietly. He carried 2 small cups of steaming silver liquid. "It helps calm the mind," he said. Elara accepted the cup, the warmth soothing her shaking hands. "Why me?" she asked again. "You said you didn't choose me, but you also said you demanded someone strong." Karen looked out toward the horizon. "Your people feared me. They said I was the one who would never surrender. They were right. I only agreed to peace when I saw your message." "My message?" He nodded. You said, "War only ends when someone dares to understand the enemy." He turned to her. "No one ever tried to understand us before. Not until you." Elara stared at him, speechless. You read my transmission?" "I memorized it." The silence stretched between them, heavy but strange, almost gentle. Then he said, "The trial of unity begins tomorrow. If we succeed, no one will question the alliance again. If we fail, your people and mine will return to war." Her chest tightened. "And if I refuse?" He met her gaze. "Then both our worlds burn." The next morning came with fire in the sky. Twin suns rose over the alien desert, painting everything in gold and crimson. Elara wore a ceremonial suit that shimmered with silver threads, part human fabric, part Varrics armor. Karen stood beside her, his armor reflecting the dawn. They entered a vast arena carved into the desert floor. Thousands of aliens filled the stands, their eyes glowing like stars. The air trembled with excitement and suspicion. A booming voice declared, "The trial of unity begins." From the far side of the arena, massive gates opened. A creature emerged, part machine, part living being. It had 6 legs, armor like stone, and eyes burning red. It roared so loud the ground shook. Elara's breath caught. "That's not a trial. That's a death sentence." Karen drew his blade. "We face it together, you and I." She stared at him. "I don't even know how to fight." "Then stay close and trust me," he said, his voice low but firm. The beast charged. The sand exploded under its feet. Karen leapt forward, energy blade flashing, striking the creature's side. It screamed, but kept coming. Elara ducked behind a stone pillar as debris rained down. Karen shouted, "Now, Elara, the control node, its neck." She saw it, a faint blue light pulsing near the creature's throat. Her heart pounded. "How?" "Use your device," he shouted. She looked at her wrist interface, remembering the translator tool she'd built in her lab. It emitted energy signals. Maybe it could overload the creature's core. She aimed, pressed a button, and prayed. A burst of light shot out. The creature roared, thrashing wildly. Karen struck again, slicing through its armor. The beast collapsed with a thunderous crash. The crowd went silent. Then slowly they began to cheer. Deep, echoing alien cheers that filled the desert. Elara stood beside Karen, breathing hard, dust covering her face. He turned to her and said quietly, "You fought well, human." She smiled weakly. "You fight better." He looked at her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he said, "Perhaps we fight best together." The suns climbed higher, bathing them both in light. But far above the arena, unseen by anyone, a dark ship watched from orbit. Inside, a shadowed figure whispered, "Let them celebrate. The bond will not save them when the true war begins."
The shadows behind the treaty. The arena was still burning when the celebrations began. Fires lit the desert sky, and alien ships drew bright patterns above the crowd. The trial of unity was over, and the human and the alien general had survived. Elara stood at Karen's side as the cheers rolled through the stands. The Varrics soldiers raised their weapons in salute.
For the first time, the humans and Varrics shared something other than fear. They shared respect. Karen looked at her, golden eyes shining in the twin sunlight. You have done what no one believed possible. They accept you now. Elara wiped dust from her face, half smiling. I'm still shaking. You hid it well, Karen said softly. That is strength. The ceremony ended with the High Council bowing, not to Karen, but to her. One of them declared, "The bond between our worlds stands strong. The human has proven her worth." But not all bowed. At the far end of the hall, one counselor turned away. His armor was black, trimmed in crimson, a color of mourning. His golden eyes burned with silent hate. Elara noticed him, but before she could ask, Karen spoke lowly beside her. Do not stare at him. That is Counselor Varric. Who is he? She whispered. Karen's jaw tightened. My former commander, and the one who lost his son to the war your people started. Ilara's stomach twisted. So he hates me? He hates peace, Karen said simply. That night, the fortress glowed with celebration. The air shimmered with holographic banners showing human and Varric symbols intertwined. Food was laid out, strange glowing fruits, steaming crystal meats, and cups of silver drink that bubbled like starlight. Elara stood on the balcony again, away from the noise. The stars looked close enough to touch. Karen joined her quietly. His presence always filled the space, strong, calm, commanding. You should be among them, he said. They celebrate you. I don't feel like a hero. I just survived. He studied her for a moment. Sometimes surviving is the greatest victory. She turned toward him. When you fight, you don't seem afraid of anything. I fear much, he said, looking out at the stars. I fear failing my people. I fear repeating the wars of my ancestors. He paused, voice softer. And I fear losing what I have only just found. Ilara's heart skipped. What you've found? He met her gaze. Someone who sees me not as a weapon, but as a being. The silence between them felt different now, warm, close, almost human. Later, when the guests had gone and the night was quiet, Elara wandered the fortress corridors. The living walls pulsed faintly, whispering strange sounds. She was drawn toward the central chamber, a place Karen told her was forbidden. She hesitated, then stepped inside. The room was vast and dark, filled with floating memory crystals. When she touched one, light burst around her, a projection of war. Explosions, planets burning, Varric ships, and human fleets tearing each other apart. She saw Karen leading soldiers through fire, his face cold and grim. Then she saw something else, a transmission from humans, her own leaders. A voice she recognized, Admiral Holt, head of Earth's Defense Council. Operation Eclipse is still in place. The marriage treaty is a distraction. Once we confirm the Dominion's planetary defense codes, we strike first. Elara froze. Her breath caught. No, she whispered. That can't be real. The voice continued. Dr. Quinn's genetic link will grant us access to the Dominion systems through her bond with the alien general. She won't even know she's the key. The message ended. Elara stepped back, trembling. The truth hit her like a storm. Her government had used her. She wasn't just a symbol of peace. She was a spy without knowing it. Enjoying the history of our alliance? A voice said behind her. She spun around. Counselor Varric stood in the doorway, shadows crawling across his face. His armor reflected to crystal light like liquid blood. Elara's voice shook. "You knew about this?" Varric smiled coldly. "Of course. The humans betray as easily as they breathe. The general is blind to it." "That's not true," she began. "Isn't it?" Varric stepped closer. "Your leaders plan to destroy us. You are their weapon." "I didn't know," she yelled. He studied her face, then smiled faintly. "I believe you, but belief does not erase blood. The war will return, and when it does, I will not stop it." Before she could reply, he turned and vanished into the dark hallway. Elara sank to her knees, shaking. Everything she had worked for, everything she had risked, all of it built on a lie. Karen found her there moments later. "Elara," he said sharply, "what are you doing here?" She looked up, tears in her eyes. "You have to listen to me. There's something you need to see." He frowned, stepping forward. "You entered the archive chamber. That is forbidden." "I had to," she said. "Please, I found a message. From Earth. They used me. The treaty. It's part of a plan. A trap." Karen's eyes glowed brighter. Unreadable. "A trap?" She nodded quickly. "They said my genetic bond with you gives them access to Dominion systems. They plan to strike again." For a long moment, Karen said nothing. The silence was thick and dangerous. Then, finally, he whispered, "If this is true, then peace was never real." He turned toward the door. "I must confirm it." "Wait," Elara said, grabbing his arm. "Don't go to the council. Varric was here. He knows. He'll twist this." Karen looked down at her hand, then at her face. "You should not protect me, not after what your people did." "I'm not protecting them," she said, voice trembling. "I'm protecting you." Something flickered in his golden eyes. Conflict, pain, trust. He took a breath. "Then we find the truth together." They moved quickly, using secret tunnels that led beneath the fortress. Elara's mind raced. If the message was real, the Earth fleet could already be preparing an attack. The treaty would collapse. The bond ceremony, the trial, all of it would mean nothing. Karen stopped before a sealed chamber, guarded by 2 sentinels. "This is the communications core. If your people are sending signals, they will appear here." As the doors opened, alarms blared. The room glowed red. On the central display, a human signal pulsed, encrypted but recognizable. Karen read the data silently, then turned to her. "It is true." Elara felt her heart break. "Then it's over. Everything's over." Karen stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he said, "Not yet. If war comes, we end it on our terms, together." Outside, thunder rolled through the alien sky. Far above the planet, hidden in the darkness, human warships entered orbit, silent, waiting for the order to strike.
The first strike. The alarms grew louder as the human signal continued flashing across the Dominion's communication core. Red light filled the chamber. The air felt hot and electric. Elara stood frozen, her heart beating painfully against her ribs. "They're really here," she whispered. "The human fleet." Koran stared at the display, his jaw tight. In low orbit, cloaked, waiting for the command. Elara shook her head. "They wouldn't fire first. They promised they wanted peace." "You saw the message," Koran said. His voice carried none of his usual calm. "Your leaders used your bond to access our defenses.
They intend to strike. Elara felt sick. Everything she believed in, every speech she made about peace, shattered like broken glass. "We can still stop this," she said, gripping Karen's arm. "We have to warn both sides. We have to—" Before she could finish, the fortress shook violently. A deep boom echoed through the walls. Dust rained down from the ceiling. Karen's eyes went sharp. They fired. No, they didn't. The alarms changed tone, screaming like metallic dragons. A robotic voice echoed through the system. "Shield impact detected. Human energy signature confirmed." Elara covered her mouth. "Oh God, they actually attacked." Karen stepped toward the rising hologram of the planet's defensive shield. A huge scorch mark glowed where a human plasma strike had hit. "A warning shot," he said. "The next one will be fatal." His eyes turned toward her, not with anger, but with a deep, painful sadness. "This is your people's choice," he said quietly. "Not yours." Elara felt her chest tighten. "I'm not letting them start a war in my name. I will fix this. I don't care what it takes." Karen studied her. For a moment, he looked not like a general, but like someone afraid to lose something he never planned to care about. "We have one chance," he said finally. "The High Command must believe you were not part of this attack. Otherwise, they will kill you." "I don't care what they do to me. I care what happens to everyone else." Karen's golden eyes softened slightly. "Then we move. Now." The escape through the Forbidden City. Karen took her through a hidden exit beneath the communications core. The tunnel opened into the Undercity, a maze of ancient roots, glowing crystals, and hot air rising from volcanic vents. It was eerie and beautiful, like walking through the skeleton of a giant beast. "What exactly is your plan?" Elara asked, dodging a burst of steam. "To reach the Council before Varric does. He will twist the attack into a reason to execute you." "So he wins either way?" Elara said bitterly. "Either the humans betray me, or he does." Karen paused at a fork in the tunnel. "You are not betrayed by all humans," he said. "Only those who failed their honor." Elara stopped walking. "And what about you? Do you think I failed yours?" He turned toward her. The crystals cast blue light over his silver skin. "You fought beside me. You faced death. You told the truth when you had nothing to gain." His voice lowered. "You have not failed me." Before she could answer, another explosion rocked the tunnel. The shockwave knocked them both to the ground. Heat rushed past them. Karen stood quickly. "They are targeting the capital directly now." Elara's eyes widened. "That means casualties. Lots of them." "Yes," Karen said. "This is no longer a warning." The Council's judgment. They burst into the High Council hall. The councilors were already gathered, alarms ringing, holograms of burning shields floating above the table. Soldiers filled the room, and at the center stood Councilor Varric. The moment his eyes landed on Elara, he pointed a blade-like weapon at her. "Seize the human!" he shouted. "She is a traitor, a spy!" Karen stepped in front of her instantly, blade drawn. "You will not touch her." Varric laughed. "The human fleet is burning our skies, and you still defend her. Your bond has made you weak, General." Karen growled softly, the air vibrating around him. "My loyalty is to the truth, not your hatred." Elara stepped out from behind him, voice trembling but firm. "Please listen. I didn't know about the attack. They used me. I'm trying to stop this." The council chamber erupted in arguments, shouts, accusations, fear. One councillor slammed their staff onto the ground. "Silence!" Everyone froze. The elder councillor stood. "We will hear the human. Speak." Elara swallowed hard. "Your world has a chance to survive this. The humans will keep firing until someone shows them this isn't war. My people think they're striking first to stop an invasion." "Because that's what we should be doing." "Enough," the elder councillor said. Elara continued. "Let me contact the fleet. I can tell them to stop. They'll listen to me." Varric stepped forward. "No, she will call them to finish the attack. Kill her now." Karen moved faster than thought. His blade flashed, blocking Varric's strike. Sparks exploded. "She speaks," Karen growled, "or you face me." The council chamber fell dead silent. The elder councillor nodded. "Very well. The human may attempt communication. If she fails, the Dominion launches full war." Elara's hands shook as she stepped toward the communications platform. "Karen," she whispered, "if they don't listen." "I stand with you," he said, placing a hand over hers. "To the last breath." The human fleet answers. The hologram flickered to life, static, then a voice. "Dr. Quinn, this is Admiral Holt. What are you doing on that line? Provide Dominion shield codes immediately. The second strike is preparing." Elara stared, feeling cold. "Admiral, stop! You're killing them!" "They're a threat. You were planted there to give us access. It's time." Elara's voice cracked. "You lied to me. You lied to everyone." "This is for the survival of humanity," Holt snapped. "No," Elara whispered. "This is murder." She turned her head toward the council, toward Karen, toward thousands of alien lives. She took a deep breath. "Admiral Holt," she said clearly, "stand down. That's an order." Silence. Then Holt's voice sharpened like a knife. "You no longer have authority, and if you stand with them, then you stand against us." Karen's hand tightened around hers. Holt spoke again, colder this time. "Fire the second strike." The hologram flickered off. Elara stumbled backward. "No! No, they didn't!" Karen caught her before she fell. "They have chosen war." The elder counselor stood slowly. "Prepare the planetary cannons. Destroy the human fleet." Elara grabbed Karen's arm. "Please, there has to be another way." "There is," Karen said quietly. He turned to the council. "Give me one ship. I will go to their fleet." "That is suicide," Varric snapped. "Then let me die, fighting for peace." Elara swallowed hard. "I'm going with you." Karen turned to her, eyes glowing. "Elara, I caused this, and I'm ending it." For a moment, the council hesitated. Then the elder nodded. "Very well. You have one chance, one ship, one mission." Karen bowed deeply. "We will not fail." Elara looked toward the burning sky, toward the human fleet. toward the final chance for peace. She whispered, "We're flying into the
The last stand. The launch bay shook as another human blast struck Varex's Prime's shields. Flames lit the sky outside. Smoke drifted in through the openings, and the roar of engines echoed from all directions. Soldiers ran to their stations. The air tasted like metal and fear. Karen guided Elara toward a sleek obsidian ship, smaller than the others, built for speed and stealth. Its hull glowed with faint blue veins, like a living creature ready to leap. "This ship is fast enough to reach the fleet," Karen said, "and strong enough to survive their first strike." Elara took a shaky breath. "But not the second?" Karen's eyes softened. "We do not think of the second strike. We think only of success." They stepped inside. The door sealed behind them, shutting out the chaos. The cockpit glowed with floating symbols and lights. The ship felt alive, responding to Karen's touch as he took the pilot's seat. Elara strapped in beside him. "I've never flown in the middle of a war." Karen looked at her, really looked at her, and something in his expression warmed. "You were never meant to, but you choose to be here. That means more than you know." The ship lifted, engines humming like a heartbeat. Through the cockpit window, the burning sky opened before them. "Hold tight," Karen said. The ship shot upward like a streak of lightning. Entering the human fleet, they broke through the planet's upper atmosphere and burst into space. Immediately, the human fleet appeared, dark shapes blocking the stars, dozens of warships forming a deadly wall. Elara's breath caught. These were her people, her world, and they were the ones attacking. On the nearest battleship, she recognized the markings: HSS Resolute, Admiral Holt's flagship. Karen pressed a hand to the control panel. The ship cloaked itself in shimmering distortion. He said, "We stay hidden, only until we reach their command vessel." Elara stared at the fleet. Why are they doing this? Why would they fire on a world that just tried to make peace? Karen didn't answer at first. Then he said quietly, "Because they fear what they do not understand. Because they still see us as monsters." Elara clenched her fists. "You're not monsters." Karen glanced at her. "And you are not the enemy." The ship dodged debris from the battle below. Human fighters zipped past, firing on Dominion patrol ships that rose to defend the capital. The space around them lit with explosions. Elara flinched with each blast. "Karen, if this fails—" "It will not. Not while we breathe." Boarding the flagship. The obsidian ship slipped between two cruisers and locked onto the Resolute's docking port. Karen stood, powering up his armor. Its plates slid across his body like flowing steel. Elara grabbed his arm. "But wait, are you sure we should board? They'll fire on you the second they see you." Karen touched her hand. "Then they see me, but they hear you." He opened the door. A blast of cold air greeted them. The docking tunnel extended with a hiss. They walked into the human flagship. Human soldiers stood waiting with weapons raised. Their eyes widened when they saw Elara, alive, breathing and walking beside an alien general. "Dr. Quinn? We thought you were being held hostage." "I'm not," she said firmly. "Lower your weapons." But the soldiers didn't lower them. They looked nervous, confused, trained to follow orders, not truth. Karen whispered, "Stay behind me." "No," Elara whispered back, "not this time." She stepped forward. "And that is why I married her," Karen muttered under his breath. She ignored him and turned to the soldiers. "Where's Admiral Holt?" "In the command bridge," the lead soldier said cautiously. "He ordered all ships to prepare the main cannon." Karen stiffened. "He wants to destroy the capital." Elara's voice cracked. "That will kill millions!" The soldier lowered his weapon slightly. "We were told the Dominion was preparing an invasion." "The Dominion was not," Karen said. "Only one counselor wanted war." Elara looked around the corridor. "Take us to the bridge, now." After a long pause, the soldier nodded. The confrontation. The bridge door opened, revealing Admiral Holt standing before a giant display showing Virexis Prime. His face was cold, determined. He didn't turn as Elara entered. "Dr. Quinn, you should not be here." "No," she said, "you should not be doing this." He finally turned. His eyes widened when he saw Karen. "You brought the enemy onto my bridge." Karen stepped forward. "You brought war onto my world." The soldiers raised their weapons again, nervous. Elara walked straight toward Holt. "Admiral, stop the attack." "No," Holt said. "The Dominion cannot be trusted. With your bond, we have access to their systems. We must strike while we can." Elara shook her head. "I am not your weapon. You are whatever humanity needs you to be." Karen growled. "She is not yours to use." "Elara," Holt said, ignoring Karen, "move aside." On the screen, the human fleet's cannon began charging. The glow grew brighter. "Order the attack," Holt commanded to his officers. But no one moved. They stared at Elara and Karen, two beings who should have been enemies, standing side by side. Elara stepped between Holt and the controls. "If you fire that cannon, you destroy everything I worked for, everything we worked for." Holt's voice hardened. "Move!" "I won't," she said. Holt reached for his weapon. Karen moved like lightning. He stepped in front of Elara, blade drawn. Holt froze, staring at the glowing edge inches from his throat. The bridge went silent. Karen spoke quietly but with deadly certainty. "Touch her, and you die." Holt swallowed. "General Karen, you would kill me on my own bridge." "If it saves her, yes." Elara grabbed Karen's arm. "Don't! This isn't the way!" Karen looked at her, his jaw tight. He slowly lowered his blade. Then Elara turned to the entire bridge crew. "You all know me. You know what I stand for. Peace, understanding, unity. I didn't survive war to watch you start another one." The officers glanced at each other. She continued, louder, stronger. "Stand down. Cancel the attack. That's an order." Finally, slowly, one by one, the officers turned back to their stations. "Attack canceled," one announced. "Powering down the cannon," another said. "Fleet returning to standby." A third added. The glow on the screen died. The threat ended. Holt stared at Elara in disbelief. "You've just betrayed your own species." Elara shook her head. "No, I saved them. And I saved yours." Karen bowed his head slightly. "No, Elara, you saved us all." A new beginning. Back on Virexis Prime, the High Council awaited their return. But instead of anger, they offered respect. The humans sent new diplomats, ones who came in peace, not war. The treaty was rewritten, stronger than before. Elara stood beside Karen as he looked out over the rebuilt city. The sky glowed with peaceful light for the first time in many years. "You did what no general or counselor could," Karen said. "You ended the war." Elara smiled softly. "We ended it. Together." Karen turned to her. "Then let us build something new, as bonded partners, not by force, but by choice." Elara felt warmth rise in her chest. "Yes," she whispered, "by choice." Karen extended his hand. She took it. And under the twin suns of Virexis Prime, a human and an alien, once enemies bound by a forced treaty, now walked into a future they created themselves.